made easy in 1 hour, which, except for this intro here, which I know is very text heavy, like I said, we're going to go over so much today, but I really want to go over it so that you guys understand it from a very basic way. To go in a little about myself, very quickly, for those of you, because I know we have a little people that have taken my workshops before, but we also have some people that this might be the first time being introduced to me. My name is Josh Nerenberg. I'm a licensed acupuncturist, and I really started with this whole thing when I started my clinic, San Diego Cosmetic Acupuncture, and realized acupuncture was really one dimensional, in the sense that from a business standpoint, acupuncture is an amazing holistic medicine, but when we apply it to our clinics, we very just pigeonhole ourselves into one modality, and it starts to feel like, why aren't we adding more things and more different holistic things we're able to do to increase our wages? So it became my kind of mission with helping AcuMicro's educational department and just getting this information out there through NCOM, which is our acupuncture boards, on how to get the average acupuncturist wage, which was around 80,000 a year, which shouldn't be for a 4-year master's, up to where we need to be, up to in those hundreds of thousands. And after the since 2020, really in meeting with so many of you on Zoom and one-on-one, it's really become evident on what works, what money areas and what asset allocation works. And it became noticeable that once you guys started making more and having more income, it needed to be allocated correctly and put in the right areas. And that's where this all kind of stemmed from. It was more of entrance into a need. There was a huge gap here, and us as health professionals were being uninformed, and either in set. I mean, we just even looking at doctors or MDs, we're given these one size fit all plans, either through financial institutions or the companies we work for. And it's not really looked into, what do I need? How does this need to be tailored to me? And that's what this lecture is really going to be about, because it's really not about a one size fits all and scenario. And by talking to you one on one and individually, I've been really able to compile all that so that we can find those biggest problems and really find the best solutions from you guys, and then run them through modern technology, things like ChatGPT, Bard. I know those AI programs now that are out there, the people that are not updating themselves with these kinds of new technologies and getting that information and having that third party. You have a third party contractor, I'm telling you right now, all out there. And you can go on there and ask those questions. Now, I do warn that asking ChatGPT and Bard and those kinds of AI, these questions that I'm going to give you today, it's a good resource, but there is flaws in those systems. I only give those to you because they give you a good basis background, and then you're able to take those questions that I'm going to show you today, and you have you have a assistant, and you can use that to ask the people you need to contract this to the right questions. And that's what this is all about: combining technology, latest information and latest tax loops and all those kinds of things, and figuring out how we can holistically not just fix your personal life, but your business and financial life as well. Really coming together into those um, just becomes a holistic, really comes to the essence of what I call holistic financial planning. And then I'm going to go over that in a second. But if you ever feel confused on any of this, I know there's, as I said earlier, with finances, with all of us, we are really good at healing, but it's such a big gap, and we just kind of throw it into our programs and don't really look at it. And that's that twinge of, I don't want to deal with money, and our outlook on money. And, there's a lot of that in there. So that kind of is that pain or sore that, as a holistic practitioner, I'm trying to look at and trying to, let's figure this out for you, and let me help you and direct you in the right way. So that's where that's all about. If anything does feel confusing, like I said during this is all going to be recorded and sent to you, so you guys will have this on record. This, as I said, a lot of this is text heavy, just so that you guys have it on record. but I want to go over briefly each slide to let you know kind of the essence of it and the basis things you should know. If you again feel uncomfortable with any of the things I'm telling you, the first thing I always start with, and I tell this to all financial planners, you have to drop the ego and know that we don't know everything. Coming into this financial kind of world from a health professional view, the best thing I could do was realize I don't know everything, and asking the people A that do know more than me, and B running it by these AI programs, and then saying, if I don't understand it, explain it to me like I was a sixth grader. I don't feel stupid for asking that because I want the program to say and explain one of these concepts very simply to me so I understand where my money's going and what's being done, and explain it to me in block shapes, easy numbers, easy to explain concepts. And we've never had that before in the society, and not enough people are really utilizing that. So that's what this lecture really encompasses. um, I go over, you kind of can see some of my, I call it my shampoo bottle or soap bottle of Dr. Bronner's on here, all this information for you guys to really just go back on and kind of look on it. If you're reading any of the side stuff and craning your neck, you'll see to make sure to massage Li4 here to help your neck while you're doing this. There's a little hidden stuff all throughout there, but you can kind of see my goal of where I'm coming from. And while Buddhism more teaches about detaching from things, Taoism teaches more about keeping your belongings and being thankful from them. I always stand in the middle, and I talk about that in a second. I always like to think of finances and money as chi, or something that's going to change in your life and a catalyst. It's not good or evil, but rather a vehicle more of transformation. And what you do with this is really what the essence of what your journey is going to become. So, if I can help promote you with better options to increase clinic sales through offering different modalities, or if I can tell you this needs to be moved here, well, this money that's here needs to be moved here, and we'll do better. That's where I like to help, and where how that all benefits me, I get into, and I love being transparent with all of you guys. So that's the real core essence of this, and I really want to keep with you on all pages because really this is tailored to you. This is needs to be very transparent. It needs to be known from either. I know that the household is a decision place. You both of your spouse, if your spouse isn't here, I always make that or partner always a very big thing in my lectures. Either you show them this recording, have them in on my and on our meetings, which I'll go into if you decide to go into some kind of private meeting. But these are decisions we make together, and that our personal and our business really need to be aligned together holistically so we can create those clear, concise goals as a family group. And we can best not only best find out where your goals are personally, but your family and partner goals as well. Because once we have that information and where you want to go, it's kind of like the gym. Um, we are able to, rather than just try to make as much money as we can, we know where you want to be in so many years. And then we can kind of create that checklist and roadmap for you to get there, and different people you can use to actually get there the most efficiently. So, again, this is all very condensed into an hour, and it's all going to go over just those basic checklists of things to start with and ways that I possibly and my team can help you reach these goals and really embrace this idea of holistic finances. So I always like to thank our sponsor, AcuMicro. Although I am affiliated with AcuMicro, I always lecture these lectures from perspective of owner of San Diego Cosmetic Acupuncture, and that's just because this is really how San Diego Acupuncture has really been a test kitchen for me. Finding out how microneedling worked in there, and then seeing how that increased helped me teach you guys how I used it my way to do it that, and you were able to replicate that, and now I'm able to revisit those one-on-one patients and see how much success they had. And it's amazing to see that increase of wealth, that increase of availability, and those now new questions of what do I do with all of this, and how do I uh, sell these clinics that are now profitable. So it's all been a great journey, and I always love working with them, and I always say that they're dedicated with NCOM and keeping acupuncturists educated onto safely perform these modalities, which is education is such a huge portion of, and free education is such a huge portion of what I believe in, just coming from a community acupuncture standpoint. That this just not applies to acupuncturists anymore. I know we have nurses, doctors, chiropractors, so many different groups in here. I've really had to change this from my finances for acupuncturists to, as you see here, holistic financial planning. So I welcome all of you beyond acupuncturists in here. I see you guys as well in here, and I see you in my consults as well. And it's just really humbling and amazing to be affiliated that way, and work with you. And if AcuMicro products and doesn't fit into your clinic, then maybe teaching and helping you start Zoom and teaching these kinds of workshops might be a way to help increase that wealth as well. So it's amazing just working with you guys one on one and incorporating these kinds of things to help not just grow wealth, but allocate it and appropriate it to fill in gaps where we need things and to make sure we're growing at a good rate. I want to disclaim at the beginning that everything in this class is my knowledge up to this Friday. I mean, this is very updated. I've been working on this all weekend, updating things, and that's what it needs to be. If things are moving and laws are changing so fast that if you go to your CPA now and start asking these things that I'm going to tell you to, they're not going to be aware of a lot of them. And that's because each government and each president that comes in there really makes different policies that changes these things so fast. So when CPAs have all these new SBA loans and things that I'm going to tell you how to use coming through their systems, they get backed up. So it gets hard to ask them and get them really on board with all these things I'm going to show you. But these are all things, again, on ChatGPT, talk to CPAs about, talk to legal lawyers about, and things I encourage you to bring up with yours as well. Again, at the beginning, before starting on all this, I want to just take a moment and really sit here and really thank you guys for being here in the first place. Um, Coming from a place of gratitude and really just knowing that you are taking your professional time and your moment to listen here, just even for an hour. I know we all have such busy days. I really know will make you connect to the right resources and really get you on board with all of these questions that you guys have about running clinics and really helping your finances from a personal and business standpoint. So today's outline, and again, this is my goal. I want to give you the very essentials. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I know we're all tired. We've all had lectures and lives, and today's our Sunday. So let's just get this out there for you guys so we can start our brains working together. We're going to start with talking about outsourcing affordably. So using sites, such as Upwork to automate your systems and questions. Ask who is your dream team. Your CPA, you need who is asking your affordable law questions. Who's keeping you in the loop? I mean, knowledge is really power in this changing world, and things are changing fast. Like I said, the more updated we are with policies, qualifications, and getting, approved for certain things. I mean, SBA loans and unemployment, I'm going to go over, saved me when my clinic was going under during COVID and was really my savior on, getting help during that time. And I want to show that too to help you guys set that up and protect yourself. So we're going to go over personal finance, so consolidating your debt and cleaning it up, finding out what your guys' goals are, and really going over free money in retirement. So we're going to check out Social Security, find out where some of that free money and insurance that we don't even know that we have been paying into and has just been sitting there. We need to find out how we qualify for that. If it might be just a little more documented work, it might give us so much money when we retire, and we'll go over that in a second. And then we'll dip into business finances as well. So questions like W-2s, 1099s, Should I make an S corp, C corp, sole proprietor? We want to make sure that your write-offs are kosher clean and they're, very on top of those things with your CPA, but there are a lot of things that are just amazing loopholes and tax write-offs that not only I've used, but just have just blow people's minds that I will show you today. And we want to double dip where we can. So if we can take off from business and be able to write off something as depreciation as well, I try to find as much as those as we can. We call that double dipping. We can't do that for everything, but it's good to know where we can and where we can maximize those write-offs and really, really tailor our own personal finances to just your goals personally and what you want to do. So at first, this is my first thing I always see it say is let's use this, and everyone should. Oh, I mean, not right now because I know we're in lecture, but after this lecture is done, I want everyone to first just go on ssa.gov and see how much money you're going to get at what age, at 60, 61, because you've been paying into these for a long time, especially for those self employed by somebody else, either from a private, or just all the programs we've worked to. It's a good to know. It's good to know, even though we all laugh because we're like, are we actually going to get this Social Security? We need to know what is promised to us at that age, especially knowing what age we are too, and how much on there it's going to say disability insurance you're actually approved for at that age too, which is kind of amazing because that's a really big point as well in all of this. If we lose our hands, which is one of our most working tools, and we all talk about this, at that age, how much are we qualifying for? And that's a big question. And we need to know how much we're set up and what we need. That's all information we all want to gather. So I first ask everyone to kind of create, and this is in my form at the end, if you guys are interested. And I always just say, start those thoughts now. How much do you want when you are retired? What is your monthly amount? And what age do you think that wants to be? And then think about how much you actually need at retirement and what that monthly amount would actually, if you just were running on bare minimum. So it's a want versus needs kind of thing to be thinking on monthly as well as age. You don't have to have those numbers right now. And most people, I'm going to just tell you right now, and I was one of them, immediately when I talk to them say, I plan on working forever. And I do too. I like working. I like being helping people, but I want to know and I want you guys to start thinking more of when I want to work for fun and not feel like I'm necessarily tied into I have to make this amount or I'm going to go under. I want to know your comfortable number monthly so that you guys feel you have that range. And by doing that, it's again like setting a goal in a gym. Instead of just lifting weights or running on the treadmill, we're trying to get to a specific weight that you're trying to get to, or you're trying to get to a specific muscle mass, or with acupuncture or medical intakes. We have a set goal and we're able to set up what we need to do to get there once we have those numbers and what you might already have, because everyone's different, like I said, and this will start you in the right way of asking these questions of where you want to go. And I always say combine this even with a vision board. Once you have those numbers, start pasting things of houses you want. How many houses do you want? Put a vision board down, cut out newspapers, put in down and make your own how many rental properties you want when you're that age, and just start thinking about those things, because the more like we learn with the secret that we're able to envision and see these kinds of goals, the more we're able to kind of, it's quantum mechanics all when you think about it, the more we're able to connect to those future goals and really find you the pathways to get there. The other thing I really like to touch on is this feeling about money. And I always go over this. Money is really just chi. Like I said at the beginning, it doesn't need to be good nor bad. It's just energetics between two people or two things, as said by Jen Sincero at Badass Making Money. It said, neither good nor bad, but misunderstood energy that is transformed by our beliefs and actions by Lynn Twist. So I very truly believe that when we look at money and we feel that emotion, it's usually some mental thing that we attach with money and emotion. And the first thing that's hard to do is to really detach from it and look at it from a neutral standpoint and why we're getting nervous when we start thinking about these things. Usually it's a matter of unorganization of your chi or money, or it's not, flowing correctly. There's blockages we need to fill or fix, gaps and there's deficiencies that we need to fill in, like with any kind of chi deficiency, or if you're medical, it's, more Western medicine, it's more of a sore or ulcer or gap thing, a wound that we need to address. And medicine itself doesn't have to be positive or negative. It just needs to be the actual changes that come in and fix these and add yin or yang, positive or negative, to the system and help that move along. Now, this is how I used to view money before COVID. So, my previous beliefs on finance: hated looking at my credit cards, stressed looking at my bank accounts. I'd always thought I could keep my chi clear by not looking at these and really help my patients. And really, what it did was it made it so I was not subcontracting. I was trying to do this all myself. And a lot of you feel this way. You're trying to do all your finances. You hope you find the right places to look. We go to big businesses and give them our finances, these big companies, and they just put us into this one size fits all kind of thing. And it's just a bad system. While I still try to keep these ideas of, if I think wealth, I'll attract wealth. I love what I do. Money will come naturally. My patient's well being is more important than my clinic. And, the last one is self sacrifice is part of my job. So I was giving discounts, free items, even sliding scales at time. Once COVID hit, I really had to clean this up and embrace more of these kinds of ideas rather than just saying them out loud, because I was saying them all out loud. But once you start enacting them and not feeling comfortable and feeling more comfortable making money, asking for money, working with it, and just diving in there and really getting it subcontracted, so you're not doing everything, you're having people you trust handle different things, then it clears you up to be that great practitioner. You're not trying to do all the books, you're not trying to do all your finances and bookkeeping and, allocating it. Find somebody that's going to do it, and somebody that I'll show you. People can do this for free, or people can be tied into your success so that when you make money, they benefit too. And that's the best way to do this. Now, after COVID, you can see kind of how things changed, and I really had to get in. I had to start looking, what kind of tax benefits could I work with? I took out SBA loans, which were forgiven. The number in your checking account often means nothing, especially when we have assets or money coming in, and being adaptable is really the best skill set we can have. So, adding new modalities, knowing the most recent financial things. What am I doing to actively grow my wealth and prosperity, and adding those new skills to your toolbox? What does your retirement look like, and do you have long-term care, and what happens with those kinds of things? What gaps are you actually missing? So you start to have to realize that you need to take care of yourself first, and that's a big part of this. It's kind of put on your own safety belt first, get this all sorted, and then once you're able to place yourself into areas where you are grow the best, and you can put the consulting people where that work for you where they work the best, so you guys are all working together as a team in the correct direction, and just growing together, not just personally but through business as well. So I believed at first these were my biggest acupuncture problems, with the clinics and in general with private practice. So number one was not enough patients, or number two was not enough proper help, or getting too tied into management and, trying to control all of these things. Number three was cash flow is too low. Number four is slow seasons. Everyone thinks it goes ups and downs. And number five is really just blaming it on the neighbor. Everyone's down that I know, or the people I'm talking to are not doing well. So, that's why I'm not doing well too. More ignored things nobody seems to be looking at are not updating your current patient's new treatment and offers, automating those help workflows, creating an operations binder so you can always replace people that are working for you and make it more efficient for you. That I know people can be unreliable. You want it so that if someone isn't doing their job correctly, they've recorded what the correct job is for you, so you can come someone come in and start doing that job right from the get-go with an operations manual that somebody else created for you, and you don't have to start training over again. Again, all about automation. Organizing your money properly to grow your business from financial and a personal standpoint. And not writing enough. As an independent business, those are of us that are subcontracted or working for ourselves are just, it's amazing what we really can utilize to write off as our businesses and what we need to ask our CPAs about. And expecting change and letting go of this, or this idea of perfection. We come out of, especially me, I came out of acupuncture school thinking I needed to do acupuncture, herbs, only that, TCM, like they told me, traditional, and I couldn't really put a spin on my own. It wasn't until I started adapting these things to how they worked for me, worked for the patients in my area, worked for my modern world. It was just this adaptability and this acceptance to listen to all of you guys and my patients and find out what that need was, what people wanted to talk about, and what, were those gaps in my clinic and finances that I needed to be filling in. So here I go, is a good outline just to look at. One second. Okay, sorry. Ah. So, looking for your free help and outsourcing, who is your team? So, 70% of businesses actually will fail within the first 3 years. And it's really a lot of roadblocks in that it's hard to let go of your control and paying someone. You start thinking missing profits, time possibly wasted, but really we're just overloading us with things that we're not professional. We can become professional in, but we don't need to be doing. So I start to ask people, who's your clinic staff? Are these tied into your clinic successes? And tie them into your clinic successes. I have always used paid interns, and they not only get a minimum wage, but they also get a amount per patient. So they feel like they are moving forward with the more work they see. They're excited to see patients, and these interns usually come from acupuncture school, so they're already wanting in a mindset to learn more. Once you start incentivizing them with they're seeing more patients and making more money, they're having those conversations they already wanted to with patients to start their treatments and more modalities, but they're also moving forward in a positive way with your patients as well, which is just again, we want everyone growing with us. This goes with a financial advisor such as myself as well. We want to make sure that they're looking out for the best of us and looking at all these kinds of things constantly, and these things are changing, and we want to make sure that these things, our finances and all these accounts we're holding, are constantly being rolled or moved into the right allocation and resources so that they're benefiting us the best way we can. A CPA or accountant is really essential. Finding a good one, I know, is very hard. Some people have great ones, and if you have one that you love, please always let me know. I'm always listening for that as well, because different states always have different laws, but I like to use Upwork to find those and have different suggestions there. But a lot of these questions today will be for your CPA, so that they're the ones that know this integration of these tax laws and really can tell you, yes, this should work for you. No, for you, this doesn't work. Yes, you can use this for this, and really organize these things to really kind of just test your CPA in a way and see how much of this do you really know and how many answers can you give them to me, and who do I need to go that really knows how to integrate all these questions I'm going to show you that you guys need to ask your CPA specifically. We're going to go, you need to also have a bookkeeper. I specifically use intuit.com. Automated graphic designer, I use canva.com, which is pretty much free and now integrates with things like ChatGPT, so you can type in what you want to be created, like a logo or anything like that, and it will just basically become a private graphic designer with you and make a graphic design, which is I've actually used in this lecture and we'll show you in a second with pictures of Rainbow Bright and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy what it can do. Also hiring a website designer. So find really cheap something that makes it very easy if you have your own practice or are working independently, where if they find your service, they click, it immediately goes to a forms page like my stuff does and immediately gets them booked so that they are being addressed quickly, efficiently, and you're getting the information from them that they need so they don't have to click around and try to find out who you are, what they need to do. My end intake here, if you're wanting to work with any of this, is 22 quick questions, so quick to fill out, and I encourage you to do the same with your clinics. Don't make it confusing for your clientele, your patients, any of them. Make this a simple process for them and make it streamlined. So this is a quick starter list for your financial success. I'm not going to go over all of this. This is something for you. I'm going to briefly touch on all these things, but this is more something for you, and I've posted up there to go over. And I always like making checklists like this for all of you and personalize once I start working with you individually. I always meet with you on a one-on-one basis on these Zooms. Go over how we do that at the end, but we like to find out, first, your capabilities as a MD, chiro, nurse, physical therapist. What kind of other skills are you expanding to, and what are you offering? Are you working for somebody else, or is there room to be a Zoom teacher for Acumicro, or is there room to be a what's it called, like a business coach or private coach to help people on Zooms and connect to people that way through social services. There's lots of new avenues out there, and it's just great to find where you can get those, especially when we want to have more money. I always say, having ask personal finance with that kind of stuff. Like I said, ask Google Bard's program or look up Chat GPT and get your dream team assembled. Use the information I give you and the resources I give you. Use Bard or Chat GPT to ask these kinds of questions and say, like I said, ask me if I was a sixth grader, explain these questions to me as if I was in high school. Get those things so your basics are down. Go over those previous retirement plans and money with a financial planner to squeeze money out of unknown places like Social Security. Don't know how many people have looked at that page recently, but it's just a first step to finding out, oh, I get this much money at this age? I didn't even think about that, and really help start your planning on getting where all that free money is. Finding Canva to make clinic menus, or if you're starting your own things, really using different kinds of programs to really focus in on what you love. Getting that insurance, so if you malpractice insurance for acupuncture, general liability if we're having our own practice, just sending to places like MIEC or Hartford that take care of those kinds of things like slip and fall. And then living benefits, things that we don't even think about. So if we're independently employed, we start missing things that we get when we're employed by somebody else, like critical care, disability if we lose our hands, long term care. We lose all these benefits when we leave corporations and we start working for ourselves. And there's actually programs out there that include these for free as riders and will actually create retirement like accounts where you can grow your money while ensuring these things that are made for practitioners that are growing outside of their practice as well. So there's all these little programs and things that we can use and really matching up, like I said, your goals to these kinds of things is my goal as a whole with you. Now, next thing is setting up really to be an LLC to be taxed at a business level where you get an EIN. We usually find a place, I'll talk about this a little later, of a level of where you want to do this at, usually making more than 120,000. And again, these are all checklists we go over, and we don't want you spending money where you don't need to, especially if you don't need to do this if it's not going to benefit you at this time. It's like creating too many business cards and posters for Vistaprint for your business before you're even ready to start. And then you're like, wait, I just spent all this money on supplies or school supplies, and school hasn't even started, but I don't want that to happen. Let's get and find out what you need and then fill in that kind of stuff later. And that's different for everybody. Now, also setting aside a variable or a net index account. So if you're self-employed, you need to check if you have any index savings, and you have to look for the word indexed. That's very important, meaning that you cannot lose money on these accounts. And this isn't informed very often, and I'll go over what this is. This is a big portion of this, especially for allocation of money, but that's a big word that we're going to go over is index today. Paying yourself and your family members through W-2 not only incorporates them into your business, it allows them you write-offs, it allows them to have that unemployment insurance, and allows a lot of different ways of incorporating your business so it benefits to its best too. So once these are all later down the line, but again, just more things to get you spearheaded into a well-being of financial and personal well-being, and all that's very kosher, and make sure that it's tailored for you personally. We want to set up quarterly tax payments so you're up to date with everything. You're paying taxes in the right state. Your LLC or your corporation is set up in the right state that you need it. Maybe not be your state, but it is filed as a foreign entity and you're operating in your state under your name professional license as a separate entity. Very important on wording and how to make sure you talk to your accountant on setting these things up. All very important conversations to have. And then using your business to write off things like rent, mortgage, gas, and more so that your business is taxed less than personal taxes, and you can actually write off more things through a LLC. So again, once you start making that more money, what can you use and what tools are we able to use and people should we talk to make sure that money is growing its best and protecting you the most it can? So it's a growth, investment, and protection. Those are your three things you really want to look at with holistic financial planning. And then at the end, it's really automate everything. And uh, Dr. Levitt, acupuncturist, one of my great teachers, that said he loved this one and commented, is really just love what you love doing. Focus on what you love and love what you love doing. Because that's what brought us all here in the first place. And I know a lot of us got stuck in their, holes of whatever their work or was or anything like that. But it really became I want you guys to really get back to finding that heart and love into the practice and medicine that you love. And if it's not the finances, find someone that, works with that specifically that can help you in these sort of ways. So, me personally, I always like cash flow, looking at an emergency fund that you have 3 to 6 month income. Always need to prepare for the unexpected. Your debt management, consolidate your debt, strive to eliminate debt, proper protection. So, protect against loss of income, assets, building wealth, making sure that you're outgrowing inflation. Things are getting so expensive these days. If we don't look at these kinds of things, they're calling it the silent depression for a reason. Things are getting more expensive, and if we're not making more than inflation and things are costing more, we really need to dial into these kinds of programs and things that we can qualify for quick so that we can make sure that our money is growing, especially if it's devaluating in different countries as well. I know have a lot of people from different countries, and I'm working with a lot of people from Taiwan and Singapore now specifically, where money is devaluating. And it's a question of where is my money the most safe and guaranteed to get the returns that I need to in case my money devaluates and something might happen in my market. Then also preserving wealth, reducing your taxation so that you're able to build a family legacy and grow that legacy as a whole. So this is my first slide, tax loops and write-offs, really where I used AI on the right. And I said, show me what Rainbow Bright would look at as an acupuncturist in the clinical setting today. And that's what AI gave me. I thought it was pretty clever, but it goes to show how kind of loosely information it kind of uses, but still really nails kind of ideas and points. I thought it really kind of did a good job on these as well. Tax loops write-offs are specifically made ones for doctors or independent businesses. And some reason nobody knows about these. And first of all, with all your student loans, if they're on income-based repayments, I know everyone has that first questions. Laws keep changing there, and it's really unsure on how that's going to settle out. So I always recommend people kind of put that on the back burner since they're lower payments on those usually in lower rates. And let's just see kind of how that settles and how that dust clears with political changes and things like that. Instead, let's focus on more of the things that are changing and going to make the biggest impacts on your financial future. So, incorporation is like our business way chi, there's or defensive chi, or what protects our business. And these are some first questions you really should be asking yourself. And whether to incorporate or not to incorporate in. Should I run my insurance under my name still? Do not get a new insurance code if you get a new LLC to the business. I've been talking to a lot of people, and as soon as they start an LLC, they start to want to retake insurance in through the new LLC name. And I'm like, that's going to give you a new MPI number, give you a whole headache trying to reestablish connection with insurance. Let's get this all smooth. Do not do that. Keep your name. I've been talking to a lot about that. And in the meantime, I'm not too big about accepting insurance. It's a large headache and a huge time spender on you. It's a job in itself. And if you don't have someone doing it for you, which I know a lot of you are, I don't want you guys working on all that time trying to bill insurance. There's so much easier ways to make money and do it without having to strive ourselves into these really long tax forms that most of us, and not tax forms, but correct um, coding and it is there are codes for billing all of these things and getting it all mixed up in the paperwork. So let's keep things simple. And having an LLC will give you that limited liability, tax advantages, credibility, more access to capital if you're trying to borrow or grow your business or actually take out loans. Once you have an LLC and an EIN, you start getting access to more funds, and fund businesses and corporations will fund you much more easily rather than if you just go out as a sole proprietor. So once you start hitting a certain amount or certain goals, that's when we need to have that kind of conversation. And this is really what helped me as I put a picture of Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump at the bottom, way through that COVID storm, because I personally used it for unemployment and SBA loans, which a lot were forgiven. They were forgiven, and it was up to certain amounts, and you had to show that it was applied to certain incomes and stuff like that. But having those proper things set up just really helped me, as all those shrimp boats or other clinics, even the big corporate ones, acupuncture corporate ones, went down in the mall and around me. I was able to just stay afloat with having very simple but effective ways of protecting these things. Secret write off. So, things for acupuncturists that we can do to write off. First of all, home rent. We can do per square foot of home office. So we can write off our business 1,500 off of rent right off the top. Talk to your CPA about that. Things like health insurance premiums and tax deductions. Uh, Things like business expenses, continuing education like this class, travel expenses, professional association dues, software technology, self employment, and tax deductions, legal and professional fees, all able to write off. Now, even some things that you may not have heard of. We have things like section, and these are things, again, bring up with your CPA. Look it up. Look these things up on BARD. Section 179 actually allows medical practice to deduct the full cost of any qualifying equipment, whether it be things like microneedling pens or computers, purchased during that tax year up to a certain limit. And I think the limit's up to $2 million dollars a year. It's a crazy. And this also even applies to vehicles you buy under the business. So you can use Section 179 to purchase all of these vehicles, write off the payments to a percent or 100% if you're using it to the business. Again, talk to your CPA about these. It just needs to have a GRV value of more than 6,000 pounds, meaning a tow value. And it includes both used and lease payments and all that. And here's are just a few of those cars that you can use this law for and talk to your CPA about. I mean, those are huge deductions right there. Again, these are another one, modified accelerated cost recovery. And they're slowly getting rid of these after Trump's administration and trying to redo them because they are loops and they are acceptable ways of doing these things. But with these, we can have a depreciation and deduction. So you can write off the full cost of a device such of using Section 179, which, like I said, is 1 million $50,000, and then start to depreciate that and write off a portion of that again for depreciation over the next 5 years of service. So if you buy a device, not only are you writing it off fully for that first year through 179, but then you're taking it over the next 5 years, and since you're still using it, you get a depreciation deduction on each of those years as well, which is huge for write-offs in businesses, especially when we want to grow and incorporate things like this. Now, I'm going to talk about the main ways here to where we want to allocate money and how we want to grow that. And that's really where our businesses flourish, and putting these in the right kind of accounts really make the biggest differences. Now, I know we only have about 10 minutes, 15 minutes left here. So I do wrap this up very quickly. We'll go a few little over on here, but also I'm going to let two of my colleagues speak really quickly to you guys on a little of this, just for 5 minutes, and give you their information. They're my dream team as well on this, and go over all of these kinds of things so that we're making sure you're addressing all of these markets, because all of these are important, but for different reasons. So number one, where your money should be is your savings account is a good first place, but these are called fixed growing accounts. And most of these savings account, if we look at our Chase, our JP Morgan, our Wells Fargo, our savings account are growing at an average of 0.35%. If you see there with Chase, whatever you put in that checking or savings is growing at 0.01. We need to move that into a high growth attach option yield like Robinhood. Robinhood is an app. They do stocks. You upgrade for $5 to make it Robinhood Gold. They give you a debit card, and now that money that's put in there is growing at 4.65%. It multiplies. See how much of a multiple that is on growing your money, and you start thinking, why am I using certain outdated systems when there are these new ones that are not only better, but they're FDIC insured, which they're insured up to $250,000 by the government, and losing that, and very proper in how they create that so that you will not lose that money. At the bottom, you can see that kind of text there about the FDIC insured, and you need to ask ChatGPT and Bard about those kinds of things, because it will tell you straight up to do this, because it's a very smart way to grow, separate your business and personal finances, and make sure both are growing in the right way. So we first have that kind of conversation. So the first 6 questions here to ask your CPA or financial advisor is, where are my current funds sitting at? Do I have 3 or more months emergency fund? Did I properly set this up with business and personal so I'm benefiting from the max amount of write-offs? Question 3, at what point is it beneficial to me to become a corporation, and how does this protect my funds? 4, if this account grows too large, how does uninvested free capital actually hurt my qualifications? And number 5, how does holding the right amount of money in these accounts and credit cards actually give me the highest credit scores, and how can I track this? Question 6 is, am I in high yield savings account now? Which ones am I in? What are the rules? And if not, why am I not? Retirement option 2 is variable accounts. And these go up when the markets go up. They drop when the markets drop. They are, as I called, the economic gas-powered vehicle of the world. They were created and really made during when a one-size-fit-all scenario was popular. It was during wartime when there was a great increase in government programs and trying to use them with corporations to fund things like 401ks, Roth IRAs, SEP IRAs. These are things we're all familiar with because they get auto-funded usually when our corporations or people we work with, and they all do have their tax benefits. However, they do take on this one-size-fits-all scenario. And when you go to financial planners, they usually benefit more from these large fluctuations when your account goes up and down, and don't actually disclose that you can lose your retirement money. People that work their whole life, like my dad, who worked for a HMO and as an MD, had all of his retirement put into variable accounts such as Roths and 401ks. And we look at what if it would have been spread out between variable and index, and it's scary because the blindness we just allow these things to happen to, it the dot-com boom hit, COVID hit, the housing market hit, and what should have been quadruple was promised went to such low amounts because when the market drops, these kinds of accounts lose money and they actually have things that can disqualify us from receiving benefits and can hurt us in certain ways too. While they are good for certain situations, and I don't say don't use variable accounts, we have someone today that's going to talk to you that specifically works with variable accounts. I say that they should be diversified and very looked into because they are oversold for very many reasons. There's a lot of hidden fees that are in these kinds of things. And if they're not properly managed, say that you end a corporation and you stop working for somebody, they hold your 401k in their name. It's possible for them to reabsorb that and take their policy back for in a lot of situations in the past, and making sure that that properly rolls into your name so it's under your control, or to a proper account or a better account is really what we need to be looking at, because a lot of these are sitting around not growing properly, or just free money that really needs to be addressed. So the questions to ask your CPA with this are: one, are all my retirement in variable accounts and can I diversify them? Two, who owns my variable accounts? Is my old account in my past company name or my name? If so, who inherits this and how can it be rolled over into an account that benefits me more? Three is, how are these write offs right now benefiting me? I know a 401k I can write off from the beginning, while Roths I can write off at the end, with the tax growth. But are either of these really in my interest? Because it leads me into four, which are, what are the hidden fees of these accounts? And five is, what are some of the drawbacks of the accounts that I'm not being told? With 401ks, Roths, all these kinds of accounts, they have all these laws attached to them, such as RMD, which requires you to withdraw amounts before you're 70 or you start getting penalized because they don't want you to grow your money beyond that amount. It just hurts the government. So you get all these laws, and they don't want you to even touch your retirement before you're 60, or they'll give you huge penalties. So withdrawing from these accounts, they're stuck in emergency settings, and they do not always benefit us the way we think. We think we're saving for a specific time, and yes, they can be applicable in certain situations, but they are such a one size fit all that we don't ignore a huge way of saving money, which is indexed accounts. And I always say just look and try to diversify and see how much you want to use index accounts as well. Now, index accounts go up when the market goes up and then lock when the markets dip. These include things like an index annuitized accounts, index guaranteed pensions, so you're getting money the rest of your life guaranteed, indexed FFIULs, which are indexed accounts that are tied to missing benefits we might be missing by working for ourselves. Things like long-term care, critical care, disability fills in those gaps and guarantees those things. So again, they go up when the market goes up and they lock when the market dips, which means whatever amount you're putting into this account will never go below that amount. You're never going to lose whatever you, like with a variable account, if my dad had put it in any index, when the market went down, it would have just locked. It wouldn't have lost money. And then when the money goes up again, it would have started to increase again. There is some, I'm going to go back to through the drawbacks of these because there's drawbacks to everything, and I love transparency. So all these kinds of things, I love being transparent with you guys with where there are fees, what does happen, and when this is the best way to use things for our money, and when we need to use these things, because it's different from everyone, and the allocation is going to be for everyone, different for everyone's situation. But I mainly want to go over these three G's. Number one, with index accounts, you get a guaranteed protection of premium, which means your money that you move into these accounts can be rolled over, or whatever you're coming into can never lose money from where it stands. It's essentially the new floor of your bank account or investment, meaning you cannot go below that amount, and you're insured to that amount that you will not lose that money. Number two is a guaranteed rate of return. So you're guaranteed a series of years to get a minimum rate of growth on these accounts. They go anywhere from a cap of 15%, usually average 8 to 10%, but they'll bottom out at a certain point and guarantee you a 1 to 3% in a lot of situations, so that it will be growing regardless of the economy. Like I said, and then number three is um, really a permanent pension, regardless, like I said, income for life. So a permanent pension, we want to know how much you want to make by the X amount of years. We can guarantee that and make a permanent pension that will bring you that money or that needed flow and gives you a roadmap on how to get there. And this guarantees a payout every single month for the rest of your life. So you can work, but you don't have to. And it's government tax advantage so that you're not getting taxed for all of this like you would in a variable account. You can write a lot of this stuff out in different ways, and I'd love to help that. However, like I say, they're not all sunshine and rainbows. They have guaranteed minimums, but they do have ceilings and caps as well. When the market is doing extremely well, often above 15%, the company that is set up with these index account will collect whatever you make above that 15% to recoup the cost and insure your account so that it doesn't drop below those amounts as well. But I like the protection because it brings in specifically and guarantees. So when you're trying to set that floor foundation, these are great accounts to do so and to really start off with. So these are some questions for your CPA. One is, when is the last time any of my accounts that are variable or I have performed above the caps, that like the 15%? Not a lot really perform above 50%. And do you expect our current economy will do so the way we're heading? How would have all my variable accounts done the past amount of years if they were in index accounts instead? And how much more accessible would they have been for me to pull out without being penalized by early retirement pullout if I pulled out of it from my variable account? Number two is, if I need to pull out from any of my retirement accounts, there's no restriction on age, such as early withdrawal fees or RMD laws, and all growth is tax free. Would this current situation I benefit from right now benefit more from these less restrictions? And do I need this money available to me? Number three is, are all my current accounts indexed? If so, how have they been performing? Should I re-roll these into something more modern and beneficial? New things are coming out so often. It's really good to look at. Has a previous index account been made in a underfunded manner that's not really tied in correctly with what your goals are? And let's put it in something more growth and business and expansion worthy. Number five, if I'm missing things like critical care, disability, or long term care because I am now self employed, how can I get these covered in situations where I might lose the most valuable asset, such as my hands? Or if I'm in a living situation, such I get cancer, kidney failure, heart attack, or stroke. These things happen when we're self-employed, and we need to find different accounts that really cover these included into the plan, so we're getting these kind of gaps filled in, such as an FFIUL, which I'll go over in just a second. That's just one of the things that we can look into that will help cover those gaps and help grow the business as a whole. But just one of those vehicles is so advantageous and really can make it sure that we're really addressing where you're undercovered, where you want to grow, and how we want to tailor that. Which brings me to question six. If I'm growing in something for my child, like a 529 plan, which is similar to these variable accounts and growth plans for our children, how are these accounts restricted for my child if they only go to 529 plan qualifications? How does this actually disqualify me from future government help and funding? I've actually seen rich families get full government support, while less fortunate families have to pay full tuition to places like Princeton. And this can all be avoided if we're just simply setting these up with proper knowledge. Index accounts can grow for your children under without such restrictions, not show up in your income so you still qualify, and it's under your name so you can decide how the money is used, if you even want to use it for your child to go into college, and if you want to send them to trade school, or if you want to keep it for yourself. I mean, these accounts are only like $50 a month, and You can do it to the max or change it how you want to, but just to even have that knowledge and know that it's not huge amounts of money that we're looking into, that just to start growth on some of these kinds of things gets the brain moving on what's benefit to the max. And instead of using certain programs with restrictions, talk to a lawyer. How can I afford these accounts to protect and make sure that not only my kids and inheritance are protected, but number seven question, if you're inheriting money and things are only passed down to you, if this money touches your bank account, it's going to be a tax. It's going to be taxed. How can you move this money to protect things and make sure that they're not going into probate or the government is dipping into it? You need to combine these with a will and trust. Have a professional, affordable lawyer. Have an executor, someone you financially and professionally trust to carry out these benefits and make sure that it's all set up. And as I say, kosher, so that not only are you building these things, but you're passing them along without getting too interfered with the taxes. These are all those questions summarized. I'm not going to go over them all again, but I just wanted to put them all in place for you to print out this slide, use it, bring it to your CPA. These are things you should be asking because these are the things that are going to fill in and help us as a community as a whole fill in these gaps. So, in recap to all of this, get your ducks in a row, outsource your team and find those benefits so you're not doing all this work. Set up those business bank accounts appropriately and separate your work and business write offs. When you're netting a specific amount or are in a situation individually, when we're going to be see that you're better to incorporate, we will tell you where to go and what needs to be done and who to talk to. But incorporating can be very easy and will cause more protections for you as well. Finding loans or credit cards with high interest rates, getting rid of those loans and consolidating your debt so your money is growing faster than you're losing it. Fill in those gaps when you're missing protection and the most cost effective solutions, such as that FFIUL, it's called a fiduciary index universal account to secure necessary retirement projections. Love going over that as well. So once you have those foundations, making further upgrades feels less risky and you feel like you have that foundation to build upon, pull money from. If something happens, you're covered. You can worry about where you need to worry the most, which is placing you into a place of focus practice and focus interest into medicine where we do our best in treating people, keeping enough liquid cash for 3 month emergency fund, and then using all non-retirement funds to invest yourself in new skills that complements to what you're doing. So paying to self, paying to clinic, retirement, and paid through W-2, so it's auto taxed, so the businesses you can write off, and all these write-offs are coming off correctly. Now, I'm going to take a moment here and bring into our room both of my colleagues, Jose and Neil. Let me introduce you both to both of them. They're both financial planners and colleagues of mine. They've been in the business much longer and they know the ins and out of it. Jose is actually my cousin through marriage and personally structured all of these for my own business and personal life. He's a UCL grad in finance and wizard with indexing, structuring your pensions, and protecting your assets. Neil has been in the industry 15 years and specializes in structuring your current 401ks, SEP IRAs, and other variable accounts, and as well as helping business owners with ways on saving on taxes too. Altogether, I feel like we can bring the most individualized attention to address both your financial well being. I always really believe finance is a holistic medicine in itself. And when we stop trying to control everything ourselves and really open ourselves up to help and contracting with others that are working with us in a very transparent and shows you those costs and benefits way, it becomes an open door to really helping each other and working together as a community. Now, none of us charge for any of our consultations or meeting. There are actually no hidden fees. We always just offer solutions because we always say who doesn't want to maximize their options. This, much like independent brokers, if we find a solution with a company that works for what you're looking for, the companies will actually pay us since we work and compare 2,000 banks and investment opportunities, kind of like independent brokers, to find the one that best works with you for your current goals and situations. If they work with us, the company pays us for the bring or the referral and works with us. We simply ask that you just spread the word, and that helps expand to more MDs, acupuncturists, people that this is just going to help us and our profession and healers as a whole. Because that's our goal as a whole, is we want to make it so that, and my goal is to take you back into your healing and contract this out to the right, help you contract all these things out so that you guys are successful, not in just the microneedling or whatever you might be incorporating to make more money, but allocating and making sure you're protected with those resources at all. So if you're interested in a free 30-minute consultation, click that QR code at the beginning to be taken to a private short survey. It's about 22 questions. This will be able to start helping us diagnose your needs, much like a medical acupuncture or intake forms. And it's very quick, private information. It separates us into 3 Zoom meetings, as you'll see on there, that are short, 30 to 45 minutes, where we're able to look and diagnose and figure out what kind of things you want to do. Second meeting is really digesting and getting that data. And third is really finding and giving you different solutions and checklists to get to those goals. So, like acupuncture, it is a process. It takes time, but let us work on those goals. And let us move you in a holistic direction and tell, what to start with and, how to exactly get to those in the way you best can. So let me take a moment here and briefly step back and introduce both Jose and Neil. If you can write hello into the chat, Neil and Jose, it will be much. Oh, there you go. You already did it. And I'm going to allow them to jump in here real quick. And let's see.
Hey, Josh, how are you?
Hi, Jose. Is your
Oh, it's working.
sound working?
How are you doing, Josh?
Good. We might have to turn it up a little bit to hear you guys.
Okay.
There we go.
It's in full blast. All right, awesome. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you to everybody for being here today. I appreciate Josh so much. My name is Jose De Leon. I've been in this industry for more than 15 years, and I'm so excited, especially when he's bringing some great information. I hope that we get to meet everybody. Again, my name is Jose De Leon. I graduated from UCLA. I'm currently right now in San Francisco, but I live actually close to Josh, out in San Diego. And, ultimately in the end, just a little bit more about myself is just, we've been here in this industry for, like I said, for more than 15 years. And, our biggest objective is to help people in small businesses. And, we'll hopefully meet all of you guys one by one and, do some great things.
Thank you, Jose.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good to see all of you guys. I apologize in advance, but I had hiking plans scheduled with my family earlier. So you can see, actually, I went my way back in the car. But yeah, my name is Neil. I've been doing this. That's my son.
Looks like you're in San Francisco too, Neil.
Oh, really? I have my
Jose.
background. my background on. Oh, okay. I actually can't see myself. But I've been in this industry for 15 years, and one of the things that I love most about what we do is really teaching people about how money works and how to make it work hard for them. I'm sure all of you guys sitting in on this Zoom, know how to work very hard for your money, just like all of us. But not too many people know how to make their money work hard for them, right? And that's a difference between becoming financially independent, living your dream life versus, potentially paycheck to paycheck and struggling financially, right? And so we really share with you and educate with you, more about options available to you to find the best financial choices to help you reach your goals. So I'm looking forward to potentially meeting somebody and working and helping you, some of you. Yeah, that's it for me. Appreciate it. Thank you, Josh, Jose.
Perfect. Thank you both. And I was happy to
just one
yeah, go
last thing.
ahead. Go
I want
ahead,
to make
Jose.
sure you put one last thing.
No
One of
problem.
the biggest things that I always tell individuals, especially when we're meeting them, we've been meeting so many people, especially acupuncturists, is the fact that you should always know two major things. At what age do you want to retire at? And how much income you're going to need month to month. And the reality is, if you don't know those two numbers, that's why we need to sit down. We need to figure out how to get you to that, because you've been placing all this love and this, this gift of what you do for other people, right? You're out there helping all these people in your guys' industry, but we forget about ourselves sometimes, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you guys get to those two major goals. At what age you want to start, taking a break back and really enjoy life, when you retire, and how much you're really going to need. And that's what we're here for. And then the other three questions I want to leave you guys with is, what happens, if you die too early in life or get sick? What happens to your family, your business, everything else? The second, what happens if you live too long? I'm not saying you want to die, right? But like, what happens if you live, to 70, 80, 90, 100? Are you going to have the capability of those financial means to sustain that? And the third one, do you have enough assets to make sure that your business and yourself and your family are properly balanced and kosher? And that's I wanted to make sure that that's really our main focus, is to focus on those five major questions and to help you and guide you guys to that point. But thank you again, Josh, for letting us talk today.
Thank you too. And you can see from below, even with Neil, we are always here. No matter if we're driving, you'll see me jump in on Zooms all the time. You will
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be able to meet all of you on a personal level that are in this class. And you might see me fishing, or you might see me out and about. Jose will contest. I might be busy doing acupuncture and walking around Portland and getting work done. But that's the beauty of this Zoom and working with you and being able to bring in knowledgeable people that can help and are just all on the same dream team working with you on these things and available in these kinds of ways. So again, thank you guys. Yeah, for we're all family men, and just having, working those families into that, and working with your families as well makes it such a honoring experience. So thanks for all of you for taking this time this Sunday, staying a little after. If you have any questions or anything like that, again, that form on there, I put it into the chat. Go to that form, fill it out. I'd love to schedule something privately or with all of us. Even though, yeah, that will all get set up for you once you fill out those forms. And yeah, thank you so